When it comes to efficiency, reliability, and luxury, my mind always goes to the ES300h first, but that's always been sort of based on being in the ES350, the Avalon Hybrid, the Camry Hybrid. So thanks to Lexus for giving me some time with this ES300h so I could really get a full picture of it. Now we do have a few changes for the 2023 model year as well, so we'll go through those as we go here, and we'll talk about what this thing is like to live with. Starting off from the side here, remember this one is more similar to an Avalon. This is your step up from the Avalon, which is now gone, versus being a step up from the Camry. So it's actually a few inches longer than the Camry, as well as a few inches longer wheelbase at 113, just going to give you a little bit better ride quality. Now we do have the big 19-inch blacked out wheels. Those are going to be on the F Sport handling and on the F Sport design package. Since those are 19s instead of 18s, this ride quality gets a little bit worse than if you were in one of the other specs, but it helps a little bit with the handling, and those look really nice. Those are wrapped in all seasons either way though. We've got the nice F Sport badge again on both the F Sport handling and F Sport design packages. Of course, I always love touch to lock, auto folding mirrors with the integrated turn signal, touch to unlock. This one has the sunroof on it, and I love this ultrasonic blue color. Here in the front end, this grille here is exclusive to the F Sport and the F Sport design trims, so if you're in one of the other trim levels, it's going to look a little bit different. Love this surround as well, that's also going to be different in the F Sport and F Sport design. Bi-LED headlights are standard. This one has the triple LEDs, very nice visibility at night. The big Lexus badge in the front, tons and tons of cooling. This is nice and open, lots and lots of open space here. A lot of times this will be kind of covered up for some reason, but I'm glad they left that open. They're actually functional vents. Here on the side, a little bit of functional vent and a little bit here for just for looks. No camera up here in the front. It does have a parking sensor up here, but no camera on this one. You can option that though if you'd like. Here in the back end, not too much going on here, but I do love all this chrome trim around. Got the subtle spoiler again because this is the F Sport handling. The F Sport design will also get you that spoiler, LED tail lights back here, the little triple bulb going on, and your backup camera here. This one does have the optional power liftgate, so that's going to be this kind of dinky key here. Wish they had a little bit more weight to it, but you do have the dinky key with the hold to open. This one actually has kick to open option as well, and we've got lots and lots of space back here, pretty on par with the other mid to full size sedans. No 60-40 split on the seats, but there is a pass through there. And you've got some little tie downs going on all around, and then push to close. All right, let's go check out the interior. Heading inside over these $85 illuminated door sills, the interior is where this car really starts to differ from the other trim levels, really pulls away from the Camry in a big way. At $40,000 to $50,000, we're not talking ultra luxury, so there's some cost savings going on, but they hide them really well. You really have to be looking for them to find them. We've got brushed aluminum, soft plastics, and new look synthetic leather abound. The center console is all new for 2023. Very noticeable here is the lack of a trackpad, to which I say good riddance. Brushed aluminum is an excellent choice by Lexus. No need for fingerprint-filled piano black. Somewhat surprisingly, this charging pad works much better than the Toyotas I've been in. Now, the reason there's no trackpad is because the infotainment has been updated to the latest Hey Lexus system, the same one found in the RX and the NX. But this is actually my favorite implementation of it so far, because the HVAC controls are still on the outside of the touchscreen, unlike the others that I mentioned. It's simple, it works well, it's tilted toward the driver. This is actually the optional 12.3 inch screen, not the base 8 inch. That is a $1,000 upgrade. Android Auto and Apple CarPlay through here with the split screen tile setup going on. Love this. Android Auto takes a minute to connect when you start up, but otherwise it works great. I'm actually kind of surprised this doesn't have the upgraded Leviton sound system. If you're not an audiophile, the base system is pretty good, but if you are, you'll definitely want to get that upgrade. That'll be another $1,000. I love how Lexus keeps the gauge cluster fairly simple, but there are some pluses and minuses going on in here. Power distribution is in here, which I always love to see in hybrids and EVs. I do prefer the image where the power control unit and the battery and the engine are all kind of in the same layout as the car is, but that's kind of nitpicky. The S and S Plus modes could use some input from a graphic designer, but I'm glad you get something resembling a traditional tack here. Note those modes are changed via this knob up here next to the wheel. As far as this leatherette coloring, we've got red, black, and white are the options here, with red of course being the correct choice, but all are this synthetic leather New Lux material. We're looking at the F Sport seats here, which are heated and ventilated as standard. And actually there's an auto setting for those, which I've never seen before. Same goes for the heated F Sport steering wheel auto setting for that as well. The seats are pretty comfortable and bolstered just right. 10-way power adjustable here, 14-way if you go into the luxury or ultra luxury trim levels, and this one comes standard with 2 memory settings for the seats and the wheel. Heading to the back, rear legroom is pretty massive here at 39.3 inches. That's about 1.5 inches over the back seats in the Camry. No heat or ventilation back here, which has been a point of contention among potential buyers. Hopefully we'll see those in the next iteration. As you can see, I fit very comfortably back here, as do forward and rear facing car seats. So with this being the ES300 in traditional Lexus naming, and it should be a 3-liter 6-cylinder, but it's not, because turbos and hybrids have all kind of screwed up the Lexus naming system. We just have a 4-cylinder and we have an electric motor, and those combined are making 215 horsepower, which is a little bit more than if you got the ES250, but a lot less, about 100 horsepower less than if you got the ES350 gas-powered version. But it's been totally fine around town commuting and on the highway. I don't find myself wanting for more power. Definitely plenty good enough for a commute for something that's, you know, a big executive sedan that's just supposed to be comfortable and efficient. And the motor is mated to a CVT instead of a traditional torque converter automatic, like you would get if you were in one of the other trim levels. And while a CVT isn't exactly my favorite choice of transmission, it is efficient, and they've kept the noise down, they've kept the droniness down from the CVT. So if you're stomping on it and trying to merge on the highway or something, you are going to get a lot more engine noise, a lot more of that drony CVT noise. Actually really pretty quiet. And that power is only going through the front wheels in this car. So the 300h and the 350 are going to be front wheel drive only. If you want all wheel drive, you have to go into the ES250. But like I've said before, you know, most of the time front wheel drive is going to be totally fine. You know, if you're worried about snow, get some good tires. You're going to want those even if you're on an all wheel drive car. So just get some good tires. Being front wheel drive will also help keep the weight down, help with efficiency. This thing is doing 43 city and 44 highway, which is kind of interesting. Usually hybrids are less efficient on the highway, not more efficient, but I've been averaging around 36 miles per gallon combined driving, so not getting up to where it's rated at. But I've also, you know, I've got the heated steering wheel on all the time, the heated seats because it's cold up here in New England. And I've been playing around with sport mode and kind of driving a little bit more aggressively than maybe you would if you were just commuting. I'm not exactly going for efficiency in my driving here. Now I mentioned that sport mode, so we have, because this is the F Sport handling package, this is where now we have the F Sport from last year has now split off into F Sport design and F Sport handling. This is where they start to differ. So now we have what was the dynamic handling package last year is now a part of the F Sport handling trim level. So if you were in any other version of the ES, including the other F Sport, the F Sport design, you wouldn't get all the extra driving modes. So because we are in the F Sport handling, we get the Sport and Sport Plus modes here. If you were in any other version, including the F Sport design trim, you would only get the Eco, the normal, and the custom. and you wouldn't get the adaptive variable suspension that this one has, which is your adjustable suspension. You wouldn't get the performance tuned suspension. It's not something that handles on rails. It's not a performance car, but it does handle a little tighter in the corners, deals with body roll a little bit better, as it gets a little stiffer if you pop it into that Sport or Sport Plus mode than it would if you were in one of the other trim levels. It actually can get pretty stiff for what you would expect out of a luxury car if you're in that Sport Plus mode. That is one thing that you definitely notice between the different modes. You have some cars where you change between modes and you don't notice any difference. You definitely notice a difference in the suspension in this one. Other places you're going to notice that difference between those modes are the steering and the throttle response. Now, I have not noticed a big difference between like the normal and the Sport Plus, in terms of steering and throttle response, which is a little bit strange. Eco, you definitely notice the steering gets way lighter. The throttle response gets almost infuriating, which is true of almost any car in eco mode. But it gets you off the line very slowly and kind of eases you so you're not jerking around or anything. In all the other modes, the steering is actually decently heavy with some good feedback. It's very confidently centered, not a lot of dead space in the center, and the throttle is a lot more responsive. I love the choices they made for the tack here when you go through the different modes. The Sport and the Sport Plus are kind of funny. I don't know. I think Toyota might need a new graphic design team or something. But I do like that it's sort of more of a traditional tack when you're in the Sport and Sport Plus. But it's just the coloring is a little goofy. In terms of the ride quality here, nice, smooth ride I mentioned. In the Sport and Sport Plus, it's going to get a little bit, stiffer. But in the normal mode and in your eco mode, the suspension is pretty soft. You've got that long wheelbase, a little longer than the Camry, as I mentioned before. We do have the bigger wheels as well, so that hurts the ride quality a little bit, but overall pretty smooth ride, which is always something that Lexus does really well. And the seats are also really nice. We've got the power adjustment for the lumbar support. We've got these great bolsters that just fit perfectly. The seats are really comfortable. No issues there. In terms of noise, I mentioned that the engine noise, they did a really good job of keeping the engine noise down, other than when you're stomping on the throttle, which shouldn't really happen all that often in an executive sedan like this. The road noise is actually really quiet too. They did a really great job filtering out the road noise. The one area maybe could use some improvement is the wind noise. When you're on the highway, the wind noise does, you do hear a decent amount of that. But otherwise, it is pretty quiet in here, which is pretty solid for something that's, $50,000. In terms of safety, this does have the latest Lexus safety system. So we've got the blind spot monitoring, the rear cross traffic alert, all the pedestrian monitoring that Lexus does so well. It's got the adaptive cruise. One area where it had some problems is the lane centering. Luckily you can turn that off. This, I'm kind of surprised by this because I don't remember it being this bad in the Venza that I was in, but it bounces around a lot if you try to use the lane centering. So I tried that one out, and then I pretty much just shut that off. That one was a little bit frustrating, but everything else, in terms of the driving experience, I really like the driving experience overall. I like how it's quiet. I like how it's comfortable. The seating position, the steering wheel feels great. I mentioned the seats. The visibility is pretty great all around. It is a big car, so if you're sitting down low, you might not be able to see that front end, but we do have the parking sensors up there. But visibility out the front is good. Thin pillars here. Got the mirrors with the blind spot. The back window has typical sedan visibility. It's not too bad. I'm used to my hatchback, so I get a little bit spoiled there, but not bad at all in terms of visibility. At the end of the day here, we kind of have Lexus doing what Lexus does best. This kind of quiet, comfortable ride, nice materials, spacious, good safety features. This is kind of peak Lexus luxury in my opinion. This is, what I think of when I think of a Lexus. And I think it really delivers on that, what I was saying before with the reliable, efficient, comfortable. That's kind of what this does. Now, I would say that if it were me, I probably wouldn't go for the F Sport handling package. I think that it's a little bit unnecessary. This thing is an executive sedan. It's not a Canyon Carver. Don't find myself using the Sport and Sport Plus modes, really. I don't really find a need for the stiffer suspension. I think I would probably go for the F Sport design if it were me. So I'm glad that they added that. You get the big 19-inch wheels, you get the F Sport badges, you get the front end. Really like the look of this car, but I just don't need all the extra bells and whistles that come with the F Sport. So, save a few grand, I'd probably go that route if it were me. Even in the base level, you're talking 43 grand. That's not too bad for a luxury executive, for a luxury sedan like this. That's all I got for this week. Thanks for watching. Make sure to stick around, subscribe, like, share mostly, most important thing, so that I can continue to bring you these cars. Thanks for watching. See you next time.